Test, test, 1, 2, test, test, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, test, test, 1, 2. Oh, is that the mic? Oh, sweet. That's pretty cool. That is fancy, man. Balls.
Colonel McRae, so two identify now. Colonel haven't seen yet. I've seen Chief Master Sergeant Dia. I've seen Colonel McRae. All right, let me go see if we're ready to start this.
We're about to start. We're pulling at the end at 7, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So after after Chief Willer speaks.
Estimated time.
Realistically, yeah, probably 15 minutes in. So as soon as like we all clap and he's done talking, then yeah. So when Willer just has the mic, probably just start engaging.
Did you know how we did?
They do a selfie of themselves.
Yeah.
It's a pretty funny shot. They're all like this. Not the legionary. What's the problem?
Of course. Hold on.
She is 8 chief of nuclear. Not 8, 8, AID. 8.
False.
She is IMA 2, the chief of nuclear operations. So she works for her.
Still haven't seen it. One step.
Did you get chief Ortiz?
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Because they keep talking socializing.
No, I'm waiting for the cue from Chief.
Okay, it's a reunion.
Yeah. Hey, Angel. Angel. Yeah, but she's not here yet.
No, that's the way. So we want to put Lieutenant Colonel Butte. He is the deputy commander of the Fort Bragg Mixed Chief. Lieutenant Colonel Granados, and then Lieutenant Colonel Butte. This is first one. Gee.
Colonel hangs in there.
No, he doesn't roll in, just don't cross it out. We can't read it.
Maintenance group vice commander, lieutenant colonel, appointed you. I may to the chief of operations. Lieutenant Colonel Andrew Thomas, mission support commander. For the second year, and fourth year, which
Wait for Colonel Howard to get here.
yeah, I just once I get through this.
Take your time. Really, the timing. Time. Everything else is.
Yeah, because everyone else like. Yeah, sold it. But now. Shoot. We're already. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can, please find your seats. The ceremony will begin momentarily. As a courtesy, we ask that you turn off all cell phones, electronic devices for the remainder of the ceremony. And we'll begin here shortly. All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Senior Master Sergeant Cesar Covarrubias, and I'll be your narrator for today's event. On behalf of Major Ryan Hutter, Commander of the 452nd Maintenance Squadron and presiding official for today's ceremony, it is my distinct pleasure and honor to welcome every single one of you on this very special occasion. During today's ceremony, we will be given cues to stand and be seated at the appropriate time. As a reminder, military members in uniform remain at attention. All others will place their right hand over their heart during musical honors and during the national anthem. Today, you will witness a time-honored military tradition of a retirement ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to recognize and honor the distinguished career of Chief Master Sergeant Daniel Willers, who has faithfully and honorably served his country in the United States Air Force for 38 years. Before we proceed any further, I am honored to recognize some very special guests joining us today. Please hold your applause until all guests have been introduced. I would like to begin with Chief Master Sergeant Willers' wife, Mrs. Nancy Ladd Willers, son, Austin Willers, father, Ken Willers, sisters, Mrs. Lori Phillip and Miss Lynn Willers. Among our distinguished guests in attendance, we are also pleased to welcome the 452nd Maintenance Group Commander, Colonel Amy Howard, the 452nd Maintenance Group Vice Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Glendon Butte, IMA to the Chief of Nuclear Operations, Lieutenant Colonel Andrea Granados, 452nd Mission Support Group Commander, Colonel Rodney McCrane, the 452nd Air Mobility Wing Command Chief, Chief Master Sergeant Octavio Ortiz, and 4th Air Force Command Chief, Chief Master Sergeant Cynthia Bia. We are also welcome all commanders, chiefs, family members, special friends, and the members of the 452nd Air Mobility Wing. Thank you all for sharing in this very special occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the playing of the national anthem and the invocation offered by Chaplain Lieutenant Brose.
Please join me in a word of prayer. Lord of the seasons of life, we come honoring an individual who has entered our lives in various ways and will soon hang up his uniform to begin still another life's season. After 30 years of service, his departure makes us reflective and grateful, Lord. Grateful for youth's enthusiasm and goals for which to work. Grateful for fellow airmen and their families who have been our teachers and our students, and who encouraged, corrected, sustained us in good times and bad. Grateful for the work to do, energy and skill to do it, and the high calling of a great nation to serve the cause of peace through strength and preparedness. Grateful for your presence, Lord, even when we have taken you for granted and thought little of need for you. Grace our lives today, Father, with a warm conversation of friendship the honest reflection on careers of service, the nourishment of good, and the shared concern for continued service to our country and to all humankind. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Chief Willers is retiring today after 38 years of honorable service. He entered active military service in 1983 at just the age of 17. His first duty station was March Air Force Base, where he was a jet engine mechanic on the KC-135 and the KC-10 aircraft. In 1988, he joined the Air Force Reserve, and in 1995, he relocated to Travis Air Force Base, where he spent 13 years before returning to March Air Reserve Base in 2009. Over the course of his career, his most significant roles include production superintendent, quality assurance superintendent, flight chief, group superintendent, and interim wing command chief. He has deployed numerous times throughout his career and has traveled the world extensively in support of the KC-10 aircraft. At this time, we invite the commander of the 452nd Maintenance Squadron, Major Ryan Hutter, to say a few words.
All right, good morning, everyone. Distinguished guests, friends, and family, and the men and women of the 452nd Maintenance Squadron. Chief, it's an honor and a privilege to preside over your retirement ceremony and to be here on this special day with you and your family and all of our guests. It's tremendous to see everyone here today in person, and also I want to extend a welcome to those that are attending virtually. Some say leadership is about the impact you have on people, and judging by the folks here today and those online, you have indeed impacted many. I also want to thank Senior Master Sergeant Walls for his and his team's efforts in organizing this great event. This is a great venue, our jet shop, and it's very fitting to send an old jet troop off in style. The backdrop is perfect. It's a great job. Nancy, you supported Chief through his career and probably have been waiting for this day for a long time. There are likely significant sacrifices, particularly during deployments, long hours away from home, late night phone calls. And I know, I don't take that for granted, and I know Chief doesn't either. So thank you for all you have done throughout his career. Austin, your love and support has also contributed to your father's success. I know you are very proud of him, and he's very proud of you as well. And also, I'd like to wish you a happy early birthday. So this is part of the program where I'm supposed to make some brief comments about Chief's career, where he's been and what he's done. But as I started thinking about it, I was thinking, well, how do I tell that story? And one question kept coming to mind, and what are we going to do without Chief Willers? I mean, we have nuclear operational readiness inspection coming up this spring, and you know, we are not quite sure how we're going to do that without you. But every exercise, without fail, Chief drives out to the flight line to oversee the alert route and the intersection where the alert route crosses the flight line road into the entry control point on the flight line. Every exercise. And this intersection is normally overlooked and not particularly dangerous in normal day-to-day operations. But during the exercises, a speeding van driven by the aircrew or maybe security forces may go speeding through that intersection without notice, without warning, and it can be very dangerous. So Chief goes out there, makes sure that cars stop, there's safe passage. Now, once those vehicles get on the fly line, there's a pretty significant bump there. And if those vans or trucks hit that bump at a high rate of speed, they might get airborne or something bad might happen. So he's also taken it upon himself to position orange traffic cones around that bump. Now, nobody's told him he needs to do this. Nobody's told him that he ought to do that or go out there and keep an eye on safety. But he's taken that upon himself, and that's a testament to his character. So my question is, for the next exercise, which coincidentally is an inspection, who is going to place the cones and stand watch over the intersection? And Chief Shiflett, you don't have to answer right now, but we'll come back to that in a minute. So, as you know, Chief began his career here at March Air Force Base. And some might say we've come full circle with his retirement here today. So it's fitting that he's retiring here at March. Back in 1983, the world was a different place, obviously, and the Cold War was the focus of our national defense efforts, and March was a key part of that as part of the legendary Strategic Air Command. So if you ever talk to Chief about the good old days, in 5 minutes or less, SAC will come up and he will teach you about Strategic Air Command. And so it's here under Strategic Air Command that he spent his formative airman years here maintaining the KC-10 as a jet engine mechanic, perfecting his craft and ensuring the Blue Eagle alert aircraft were always mission capable. His technical expertise was recognized as he was awarded the Strategic Air Command Journeyman Technician Patch, which identified him as one of the best in his field. So in the mid-1990s, as was mentioned earlier, the KC-10s at March were relocated to Travis Air Force Base as part of the base realignment and closure in the mid-90s. Chief followed the jets to Travis. He may have had a choice, but he may not have had a choice, but nonetheless, he took the KC-10s from March, took them up to Travis, and continued his career there while he continued to grow professionally, performing his duties as a flight line expediter, production superintendent, quality assurance supervisor. And he deployed in support of Operation Southern Watch, where the Air Mobility Command Inspector General recognized him as an outstanding performer. And after September 11th, he deployed in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. During his time at Travis, he started taking on more training responsibilities, mentoring the next generation of expediters and production superintendents, always teaching and leading by example. His leadership directly contributed to the 349th Air Mobility Wing running the Air Mobility Command Maintenance Effectiveness Award for 4 straight years. After his time at Travis, Chief came back home to March, where he served as the maintenance group superintendent and also the interim wing command chief and assistant superintendent to the 42nd Maintenance Squadron. If you know Chief, you know he likes projects. He likes the challenge of solving difficult problems, and we made sure he had the opportunity. He made an impact right away as he oversaw the integration of active duty maintainers when the 912th Air Refueling Squadron active duty unit became part of our maintenance group. Your efforts there were significant as that relationship grown over the years, and they're a vital part of our maintenance group. I'll share another story with you that I wasn't aware of until I read Chief's enlisted performance reports. So it's not one of those stories, but it's so a few years after he came back here to March, he integrated the Guard and Reserve crash and recovery team to make a joint team, and he exercised this team in a crash and recovery scenario. And the scenario included an exercise on a Guard F-16. And the scenario was to perform a recovery of a simulated crashed F-16. A few years later, he had the opportunity to attend a formal aircraft mishap investigation course and got more formal training on what that entails. As fate would have it, a few years after that, a guard F-16 from March crashed into a warehouse off base. So again, Chief immediately headed to the Emergency Operations Center. Again, nobody suggested he should. He just did it and began leading the crash and recovery efforts. Because of his training and experience, valuable evidence was preserved for the investigation. While with us, Chief also deployed in support of Operation Inherent Resolve and was instrumental in support of the Wuhan, China evacuees. And that was last year. Seems longer. That was last January. And again, when that happened, we didn't really know what to expect, what was going on. We didn't know our role in that. We didn't know if the evacuees were going to be in hangars, if they were going to be in lodging on base. Eventually, they were located in lodging, and the security, the perimeter had to be secured. And so we were tasked to provide some light units to maintain that perimeter. So, the first night, Chief and I talked, Chief Schiffler and I, we talked to say, hey, how do we do this? Our H flight got involved, our airspace ground equipment flight. We got the units ready to go, and where do we put them? So first night we went out there and kind of set up maybe a 4-corner, maybe 6, lights or so perimeter. And then I come in the next morning and, how to go? Well, I talked to the U.S. Marshals. I talked to the CDC, the Center for Disease Control. I talked to security forces, and here's the plan, and here's what we're going to do. And again, nobody told him to do that. He took that upon himself to do that. So to answer the question, what are we going to do without Chief Williams? Well, we will be just fine. We will continue to do great things. I believe this because Chief is always teaching, always training the next generation, always a mentor, leading by actions, leading by example. So back to the cones, Chief Schiffler. I think we have the answer to that question, but more importantly, it's not about cones. It's not about that story. It's about, again, bringing up the next generation, teaching others. That's been a theme throughout his career. It's a testament to his character. Everything that he's done, he's been mentored by some great chiefs along the way. And he carries a legacy that was passed by those who came before him, and he now passes that legacy on to you today. And so my question to 42nd Maintenance Squadron is, who among you will step up to carry the legacy forward, and who is going to take the initiative to drive the mission and make things happen? Chief, thank you again for 38 years of distinguished service to the United States Air Force, our federal government, and a grateful nation. I hope you enjoy your free time in Utah, Nancy. I hope you do as well, but want you to know that you always have a home here at March and the 42nd Maintenance Squadron. Welcome anytime. Thank you.
Thank you, Major Hutter, for your thoughtful words. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the medal presentation. Attention to orders. The United States of America, to all who shall see these presents, greetings. This is to certify that the President of the United States of America, authorized by Act of Congress, July 20th, 1942, awarded the Legion of Merit to Chief Master Sergeant Daniel G. Willers for exceptional meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding service 30 March 2012 to 4 March 2021. Accomplishments. Chief Master Sergeant Daniel G. Willers distinguished himself by exceptional meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Superintendent, 452nd Maintenance Squadron, March Air Reserve Base, California, March 30th, 2012 to 4 November 2021. During this period, exemplary foresight and ceaseless efforts consistently demonstrated by Chief Willers were instrumental during his deployment to Central Command in support of operations, inherent resolve, and deliberate resolve. He advised the commander on significant contributions to the effective strategic warfighting readiness and the proper utilization of more than 140 maintenance personnel. His steadfast leadership and management resulted in the completion of 1,022 sorties, the delivery of 60 million pounds of fuel to 3,800 joint coalition receivers, and was pivotal in reaching a 90% effectiveness rate. Additionally, Chief Willers' astute knowledge was integral when he responded to an F-16 jet crash outside the installation. Within minutes, Chief Willers reported to the Emergency Operations Center to advise the director in coordinating information to emergency support functions and dispatching resources to sustain the maintenance response and recovery operations. Moreover, his dedication was clearly displayed as the 452nd Maintenance Group Superintendent, where he provided exceptional air refueling support and rapid global mobility to hurricane disaster relief, Strategic Command Alert Forces, Southern Command drug interdiction missions, and exercises Red Flag and Global Thunder. Furthermore, Chief Willers championed the execution of the 2017 Nuclear Operation Readiness Inspection, which resulted in 100% air tasking order generation and 48 successful alert responses. Finally, his extraordinary expertise guaranteed his appointment as the interim 452nd Air Mobility Wing Command Chief, serving 6 months as the senior enlisted advisor to the wing commander, ensuring the operation readiness and effectiveness of more than 3,000 airmen. The singular distinctive accomplishments of Chief Willers culminate a long and distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect great credit upon himself in the United States Air Force. Given under my hand, 2 October 2021, Jeffrey T. Pennington, Major General, U.S. Air Force, Commander, 4th Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, Major Ryan Hutter will now officially retire Chief Master Sergeant Daniel G. Willers. The Department of the Air Force, Washington, D.C., Special Order Number EK 2925, Daniel G. Willers is relieved from duty from the Air Force Reserve, 452nd Maintenance Squadron, March Air Reserve Base, California, and retired effective 5 November 2021 per Air Force Instruction 36-3203 in the rank of Chief Master Sergeant by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Certificate of Retirement. From the Armed Forces of the United States of America, to all who shall see these presents, greetings. This is to certify that Chief Master Sergeant Daniel G. Willers, having served faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Air Force on the 5th day of November of the year 2021. Chief of Air Force Reserve, Richard W. Scobie, Lieutenant General, U.S. Air Force, and Chief of Staff, Charles Q. Brown, Jr., General, U.S. Air Force. Major Hutter will now present Chief Master Sergeant Willers with a certificate of appreciation from the President of the United States of America. For service in the Armed Forces of the United States of America, Chief Master Sergeant Daniel G. Willers, I extend to you my personal thanks and the sincere appreciation of a grateful nation for your contributions of honorable service to our country. You have helped maintain the security of the nation during a critical time in its history with a devotion to duty and a spirit of sacrifices in keeping with the proud traditions of military service. I trust that in the coming years, you will maintain an active interest in the armed forces and the purpose for which you served. Those who follow in your footsteps will draw inspiration from your commitment, dedication, and sacrifices made to ensure the protection of our American freedoms. My best wishes to you for happiness and success in the future. Signed, Joseph R. Biden, Commander-in-Chief. At this time, we invite Nancy to come forward for some special presentations. The United States Air Force Retirement lapel pin is appreciatively authorized to Chief Master Sergeant Daniel G. Willers, having distinguished himself by honorable service from 22 February 1983 to 5 November 2021. The emblem will be worn as a badge of honor, indicative of honor and faithful service while a career member of the United States Air Force. We will now recognize Nancy for her personal contributions. Certificate of Appreciation from the United States Air Force. In grateful appreciation, the United States Air Force presents this certificate of recognition to Mrs. Nancy J. Ladd Willers for the unselfish, faithful, and devoted service you provided to your spouse. This endless support and understanding assisted in making possible your spouse's lasting contribution to the mission of the Armed Forces of the United States of America, and upon transfer to the United States Air Force Retired Reserve on the 4th day of November of the year 2021, signed, Chief of Air Force Reserve, Richard W. Scobie, Lieutenant General, U.S. Air Force, and Chief of Staff, Charles Q. Brown, Jr., General, U.S. Air Force. It is traditional to present the spouse with a bouquet of flowers. Nancy, please accept these flowers on behalf of the men and women of the 452nd Maintenance Squadron. At this time, Chief Willers would like to recognize his wonderful wife, Nancy, with a special pin and coin. The Military Spouse Coat of Arms. The crest incorporates all of the items contained within the shield. The items are interwoven to provide a contiguous emblem representative of the support, trust, and love you provided. The shield is divided into 3 sections. The gold is for purity and truth. The purple is for success and independence. The red is for love, strength, and courage. The image of the rose is for the unwavering devotion shown for the service member and their service. Sorry, a little malfunction. The burning candle signifies the lonely nights spent and that you have kept the home fires burning. A symbol with no beginning and no end, the entwined ring symbolizes the undying love for your service member. Chief Willers would now like to present the military child's pin to his son. Austin, please come join us on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Chief Master Sergeant Daniel Willers, United States Air Force, retired.
All right, just we're good. Okay. I don't like stand behind the podium, so I'm gonna come out here. Normally, I speak in front of people actually quite a bit, but this one's different. It's just different, you know. When it's you and it's your turn, it's just different. So I've had to bring along a crutch today. Normally, I just speak from my, from my head and I just go, but today's a little different. So I want to first thank the DVs for coming out. So thanks for coming out, Crane, Chief Villa, Chief Ortiz. Actually, there's a lot more DVs out here as well. There's so many retirees and people that have come from all over. I truly appreciate you coming out today. It's just amazing that you took time out of your day to be here with me. So thank you. I want to thank my God. So without him, then, I'm not who I am. So he makes this possible. So thank you. Hold it together, Dan. So I want to thank all those who were involved in putting this together. You can see that they've done an amazing job. They've been working on this for a while, and they've just done a fabulous job. And it's just amazing. So Chris, Cove, Borsma, Sato, you guys just did an amazing job. So thank you so much for doing that. I want to thank Major Hutter for being the presiding officer. I appreciate that. I also want to thank you for being my commander. You've done a wonderful job. I've watched you just blossom, just in the, the last little bit that you've taken this command. He's a rock star. He takes a lot of abuse from Shiflet and I. Yes, a lot of abuse, gets all kinds of unsolicited input, right? And he takes it with the grace of a seasoned commander, and I appreciate that. All right, Shiflet. I want to thank Chief Shiflet. So he and I were like a team. So they call us the old two men, the Muppets, right, that are up in the balcony. That's he and I, right? Because anytime we're in a meeting or anything like that, we always have something to say, right? And it's usually going against the grain, but we have fun with it. We're a fantastic team. I appreciate you hiring me in spite of all the input you got to not, right? So I was the group superintendent, and when you're the group superintendent, sometimes you're unpopular. And sometimes your fellow chiefs have a different view of the way things should be, but you can't tell them, hey, I'm really with you, right? Because when you leave the commander's office, you're copacetic, with that commander. So they don't always know. So he got a lot of feedback that he shouldn't hire me, but he hired me anyways, and thank you for the opportunity. I'm gonna miss it. We've been a fabulous team. We sit down, and the majority of the time when he and I sit down and look at something, we come up with the same outcome, even without consulting each other. So we're really close the way we process things, think and do things. Great team. So thanks, Brian. Thanks. Thank all attendees for showing. I think I did that right. I'm off script. So my wife, Nancy, I want to thank you. So most of y'all out here think I'm perfect, right? She's perfect, but she knows better. She knows my flaws. She knows my failures. And thank you for staying by my side. And Austin, thank you too, okay? You teach Dad things every day. Trying to hold it together. You're a great son. Thank you. Okay, if I forgot to thank anybody, I'm sorry. But I do appreciate everybody that came out. Okay, so into the rest of this. So I spent a lot of time, what am I gonna say? You get one chance for your parting words, and what are they gonna be? And I want some unifying speech or something like that. And I don't know. I thought a lot about it, but this is what I came up with. So being in the military and being out in society, we get thanked for our service a lot, right? You go to the gas station or a fast food restaurant or something, and people come up and say, thank you for your service. So when they say thank you for the service, what are they really talking about? Service, right? So if you're at Home Depot and you're purchasing something, you may thank the guy who helped you, but you don't thank him for his service, right? The UPS guy that comes and brings your package, you don't thank him for his service, you may thank him for his work, but not his service. So why do we use the term service? What's special about that term? Well, to me, I think that what that talks about is the dedication that we put in. So a military member has dedication to what it is that they're doing. And then they have sacrifice, right? So they put the mission, they put what's going on, they put the country in front of themselves. They make those sacrifices. And to me, that's the distinguishing difference between, the guy that works at UPS and us is that sacrifice piece. So every military member sacrifices. The fact that you're here today on a UTA on a Sunday, you might rather be doing something else other than being at this retirement. I know you like to be here, but you might rather be doing something else. So that's a small sacrifice. You know, we may do a small sacrifice like missing a baseball game or a birthday or something like that. There's sacrifices that you can see that members have made, you know, those visible and invisible wounds that they carry around with them, that sacrifice. There's the 13 that gave their lives serving this country just about a month ago. So we all make different levels of sacrifice. So why do we do it? Right? What makes us give up that, you know, give up time, give up, you know, possibly risking your life? What makes us do that? You know, people would talk about, oh, well, because it's, you know, the benefits, right, is why you do it, right? So, but having, you know, retired pay and education benefits and VA benefits and those things like that, they don't make it worth what we do and why we come out here and do it. So it's more than that. So I would submit to you that those that are self-aware enough, they understand themselves enough that what they realize is that what they're getting back is greater than the sacrifice that they're making. And so what is that thing that they're getting back? And again, it's not the money, you know, because you can go outside and make a whole heck of a lot more money. You know, there's better retirement benefits on the outside. So it isn't that. The thing that makes it worthwhile is the people, and it's the thing that the people give to each other, right? So it's that sense of camaraderie. It's the family. It's the kinship. You know, it's being part of something greater than yourself, bigger than you, right? That's what makes it worthwhile. It's not the money. It's not any of those other things. It's this. It's this. You know, you can run into somebody that, or run into a guy that you've never met before that's in uniform. You have an immediate bond with that person, right? He's a brother. You have that bond that nobody outside can understand. And so that's why I think we do it. At least that's why I do it. I think that's probably a lot of you out there as well. You know, you see you know, you're out and about and you see the little old man with the hat that has maybe the name of their ship on it, you know, or it says Air Force retired or Army retired, right? Those guys get it. They understand that bond, that kinship. That's not something that, you know, it's because of the pay or anything. That's that military bond. And so I tell you all this to basically tell you that's the thing that I'm going to miss the most. I'm going to miss being a part of this family where you guys all get me, you understand me, right? Because we're like the same. It's not about me, it's about the we, right? And so when I leave, it's just me, and I'm not special. What makes us special is the strength in all of us. And that's the thing that is going to be the hardest for me to be without, is without that support of having all of you. So, so a really wise guy once told me, when you run out of things to say, you should quit talking. So with that, thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the official part of our ceremony. You can be seated. We will now conduct the flag folding ceremony performed by Staff Sergeant Valdez and Staff Sergeant Becerra. For more than 200 years, the American flag has been the symbol of our nation's unity, as well as a source of pride and inspiration for millions of citizens. Born on June 14, 1777, the Second Continental Congress determined that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes, alternating between 7 red and 6 white, and that the Union be 13 white stars in a blue field, representing a new constellation. Between 1777 and 1960, the shape and design of the flag evolved into the flag presented before you today. The 13 horizontal stripes represent the original 13 colonies, while the stars represent the 50 states of the Union. The colors of the flag are symbolic as well. Red symbolizes hardiness and valor. White signifies purity and innocence. And blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Traditionally, as a symbol of liberty, the American flag has carried the message of freedom and inspired Americans both at home and abroad. In 1814, Francis Scott Key was so moved at seeing the stars and stripes wavering after the British shelling of Baltimore's Fort McHenry that he wrote the words to the Star-Spangled Banner. In 1892, the flag inspired Francis Bellamy to write the Pledge of Allegiance, our most famous flag salute and patriotic oath. In July 1969, the American flag was flown in space when Neil Armstrong planted it on the surface of our moon. Today, our flags fly on constellations of Air Force satellites that circle our globe, and on the fin flash of our aircraft, in harm's way in every corner of the world. Indeed, it flies in the heart of every American who serves our great nation. The sun never sets on our United States Air Force, nor on the flag we so proudly cherish. Since 1776, no generation of Americans has been spared the responsibility of defending freedom. Today's airmen remain committed to preserving the freedom that others won for us for generations to come. By displaying the flag and giving it its distinctive fold, we show respect to the flag and express our gratitude to those individuals who fought and continue to fight for our freedom at home and abroad. Since the dawn of the 20th century, airmen have proudly flown the flag in every major conflict on lands and skies around the world. It is their responsibility, our responsibility, to continue to protect and preserve the rights, privileges, and freedoms that we, as Americans, enjoy today. The United States flag represents who we are. It stands for the freedom we all share and the pride and patriotism we feel for our country. We cherish its legacy and revere its beacon of hope. To one and all, long may it wave. Chief Master Sergeant Willers, on behalf of the United States Air Force and the 452nd Maintenance Squadron, please accept this flag in appreciation for your 38 years of service. At this time, we would like to present Chief Willers with gifts of appreciation. We'll start with the Marchfield Chiefs Group.
Hey, good morning, team. Chief Ortiz here, the command chief. Yeah, I'll get in a minute. Hey, so for 38 years, you're still pretty sharp on your face movements, Chief Willers. Good job. It's kind of hard to believe that we're here saying goodbye to Chief Willers. He's been a rock, a foundation for the wing, for many of our airmen and for the mission. Just a personal story for Chief Willers, as far as I'm concerned. I actually was mandated to teach a class or a course for every squadron by the previous command chief several command chiefs back. And Chief Willers wasn't ready for me to go to his squadron. So he had to come evaluate me at a different squadron. I think I passed the mark because he let me go to his squadron eventually. I also applied to be his first sergeant at the maintenance group. He offered me the position. I turned it down. I wanted to go somewhere else. He was actually on my screening panel to be a chief. He grilled me. Basically told me that I wasn't ready. He was a hiring official. It worked out. And I just wonder what he said when I was picked up as a command chief. I haven't heard that story yet. Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. You know, I don't want to speak for all the chiefs, but I could pretty much think that they're thinking the same thing. Chief Willers has been a lifeline for all the chiefs, for all the airmen here at the wing. He's been a mainstay. I think when I talk about my 5 priorities, I think they all align with me. He's for me. When you talk about professionalism, when you talk about speaking the facts, when you talk about doing your full duty, it's just amazing to see him in action in regards to what Major Hutter described earlier. You know, you talk about winning the future as far as building the bench. Chief Willers does not miss an opportunity for us to teach and to grow and develop our airmen. Here recently, we announced some step 2 promotions. A lot more from his squadron. John Boresma, I saw him out there wearing senior stripes. So you've been a mainstay. I was reading the back of your flyer there, Chief Willers, talking about family. And for me, team is number 1. As you can see here, you know, from Chief Villa, Chief McQuan, you know, all the other chiefs out here, it's just amazing what you represent. You know, you talked about the family, about Nancy. He mentions that you're the strength that puts him at ease in regards to when he does his job. It is just very important for us to understand and realize that the value and the importance that the family brings to what we do here in the Air Force. And he talks about his son, Austin, in regards to being the greatest gift that God gave him. And I could attest that for myself, having 3 kids. Nevertheless, Chief Willers, we're going to miss you. We wish you the best. I just realized that you're going to Utah. I didn't know that. But I'll tell you what, he was right about Chief Schiff and Chief Willers. You guys are amazing. But Chief, thank you very much. Godspeed. And thank you for everything you do. Yes, sir. Chief Dan Willers, 37 years of faithful service, Marchfield Chiefs Group. Thank you.
452nd MXS top 3.
Myself and on behalf of the top, give it to Brooks if you want. Myself and Brooks are newly elected to the top 3, and we're both kind of semi-new to the senior NCOs. So we haven't had a whole lot of time working with Chief Wilders. But I do know from before that he went through and put a ton of effort into building. I don't even know what you built, but when I don't know how to explain what you built, but basically the air show was coming up, and I know, and I don't even know the full extent. I don't know the full extent, but I know he put a lot of effort in his own personal time to make this amazing Star Wars-esque display for the air show for the purpose of making money for our squadron. And I from what it looked like, it took a lot of time. So I know he had a lot of dedication to the top 3 and to our squadron, and we thank him for that. And on behalf of the top 3, present you with this flag and flag box. The flag box is in recognition of his outstanding support and leadership to the top 3. And we wish him the best of luck in his retirement and his future endeavors.
All right, at this time, we ask Squadron Leadership and Flight Chiefs to come up. Chief. And Chief Shiflett.
We give the Chief Battalion to retire
So, on behalf of the school, this by the way was manufactured by Medicine and Shield, so we have a great coverage. Okay, so being the squadron superintendent, I've heard synergies on that I've been able to work with correctly, but on top of all the I had chief out of two people when I was able to. I was the chief out of all of them. I learned a great deal from all of them, as long as I'm all the chief. We've had quakers, we've had arguments, we're crazy what I'm doing is fine this slide. We've had brain that's here, we read this, and this. That's we come all the way out of our great deal on these issues. He comes out of work, starts to shift that to the foundation, about maintenance and other issues, and steps and all this and all that. Sometimes up to 2 hours, and we're just talking maintenance all the steps, the EPRs, the declarations. He's the master. He is the absolute master. He is hopefully, I know he's going to call a chief, job chief, to make them better. You are going to do this. Yes, you can be replaced. Like you have touched each and every one of them. Now, he did mention about working a lot. So when you miss me, I want you to take a look at that. You know, it's out in writing yards, what Christmas stuff on there. So, and then everyone will say about also. And then I gave chief's logo on, the name, and I said Squadron logo on, and that's what the name of the brewers, Bargeville retired. Thank you for all of you.
Okay, I would now like to open up the floor for anyone else that may have or has any recognition for Chief.
Instead of putting So the reason this is cool is because normally when you see pictures of airplanes, they're centric, they're flying. This one's sitting in a hang, right? That's me. That's why I'm here. So this speaks to me, and this is one of our areas. So.
here. Jim's great, you know, we spent a lot of time talking about this and that, things we like and things we don't like so much, and, you know, he's always spot on. There was so much dedication out of this guy's amazing. Great big part, you know, always requirements and great stuff. When my son had scoliosis surgery, there's a gym in front of a train set. So, biggest part of
Yeah. Oh. Thank you, everyone. Chief Willers, thank you for everything. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the Air Force song and departure of the official party. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. Please join us in the back for the reception on the other side of the room. Thank you for attending. Have a great day.